So Jerry, real estate is evolving like crazy right now with the AI era. With AI, you have to prompt it. You basically create a prompt, you put it in, and it will spit out all this information for you. All right, I want you to, in the mindset of a songwriter and artist, actually, in the mindset of Frank Sinatra, I want you to take everything that you know about Jerry Reid, the founder of Reid Real Estate, and write some lyrics for the next swing song. Full jazz bebop. Built it on a hand. He built it on a handshake. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's out of my league.
Today is a super special day. We are sitting down with someone who didn't just sell real estate in Kitsap County, he helped define it. Jerry Reid founded Reid Real Estate in 1967. He became a broker in 1961 and spent decades setting the standard for professionalism, relationships, and leadership in this market. Jerry, thank you for being here today. It truly means a lot to all of us. Jerry, take us back to the beginning, 1967, when you basically, what was happening in your life at the time that you opened Reid Real Estate?
Let me back up a little bit. My folks were divorced, and I lived with my grandparents. He was in the Christmas tree business. And so I've been in the Christmas tree business since 1945 or something like that. Through that, I became a graduate forester, and eventually Bob Rowland with Rowland hired me to do cruising and things like that. In those days, we had lots of 20s and 40s and 10s for sale. Most of the agents didn't understand what woods were about. I did, so I was making little pamphlets and brochures, and Rowland's agents were handing it out to people and making sales. I was making $350 a month. They were making $750 on a sale. So Bob talked me into becoming a real estate agent in 1961. And I did that. The first day, they told me to show up at the office on Sunday at 10 o'clock, something like that. And
I'm just going to say that was the year I was born.
That was a good year.
And I'm old. I'm sure he did it in honor of me. But yeah, so that's a while ago.
So I showed up, and people were pouring in there and asking for the two agents that were there. And I said, well, isn't this a take your turn thing? Oh yeah, we'll let you know when it's your turn. Finally, somebody drove up in a little old beat up car, and they said, those are yours. And I had looked at a waterfront home down in Palusi Bay, $7,500 for a waterfront and cabin. And I took them down there, got lost on the way, eventually made my first sale the first day, and never made another sale for 30 days. But then started developing and had some really good days. In the early times, when you got a license, all it involved was signing a piece of paper that said, I want to be a real estate agent, with it had a state of Washington heading on it, and you didn't even have to turn it in. You didn't have to take, some of you guys have had to take some hours of education, and those days you did not have to. So we as agents put out some poor information to the public. Gradually the state and the national became aware that that was happening. Little by little, the industry became more professional and did a better job. And in 1967, Rollins had offered me a partnership in their business for Sherry's, and they had properties, and that never materialized. So I opened my own office in Purdy, and the whole office, all the agents and the secretaries, except for this one guy, came with me. So I had a ready-made office. We operated across the Tacoma Ellis Bridge till my office was built, and we were off and running. At that time, I started developing property. The first one right near my home, 80 acres, became for sale. I developed it. Used to be three houses beyond me on this Mission Creek Road. Now there are 125. The traffic going by there, every time it goes by at 50 miles an hour, my wife gives me a dirty look. So, but I started developing property, hiring agents. At that time, there was no multiple listing service. If you didn't know the product and people walked in the door or somehow you got to talk to them, it was very difficult to talk about a piece of property you didn't know very well. I see now the agents have got videos and everything else, but in those days we didn't have that. And we needed to know the property to be able to do a good job. So my thought always was, sell yourself. You're not going to talk anybody into buying anything. You're going to show them the property, maybe show them the good points of it. And if there are bad points in it, show them that too. And one of the things in those days, we were selling a lot of waterfront, some of that high bank, some of it low bank. And the industry said, make sure you always show property from the ground level. Get down on the beach so that you're 6 foot up as compared to 6 foot down from the top. So, but I always thought you need to show people property at low tide as well as high tide so they knew what they were buying. In the 70s, I was developing Toronto Falls and Collins Lake, Three River Valley, those things. And we were making on weekends, 3-day weekends, we were making 30 sales. Now at that time did not give a title insurance. People could buy for $100 or $200 down. It was a seller's delight. If people came out to look at one of the subdivisions, some of the developers were given transistor radios or chainsaws or kitchen, all sorts of things to entice people to come out to their subdivision. And then if you had good enough salespeople, they may talk people into buying. And I disagreed with that. I like to have people come out, but we weren't going to talk anybody into anything. We thought the developments that we had spoke for themselves. In the mid-70s, the government got involved and said, before you sign anything, before you sign any papers, you must sign this disclaimer. And the federal government came out with a disclaimer that with big red letters on the front of it, told everything about the subdivision, the amenities, the costs, etc. And if they didn't sign that, you had to give all their money back. In those times, we didn't have very much money, but we'd sold a lot of those properties. And at one time, I really had to give back almost $300,000 that I didn't have. And a lot of the people said, you know, I paid $100, $200 down. I've had the property for 2 years. I've now got $1,200, $1,500 invested in the property. I've never had that much money in my life in my hands. It's September when you sent this letter out. I need that money for school for my kids. So we went to the bank and got $300,000. Well, no, I went to a friend in Silverdale and he lent us money to do that. And I always thought of those people that the time that they enjoyed the properties, recreational properties, was important to them, but on the other hand, the money was, they needed at that time. That goes on and on. Go ahead. I'll talk forever.
Well, take us to 1967. That's when you opened Reid Real Estate. What was going on? How did that come about?
Well, I had a ready-made sales staff. Interest rates were starting to go up, In fact, right after that, some of the interest rates went to 18%. And in fact, I sold some land that the last 18% person just paid off a couple of years ago, and I kept lowering it to finally got her down to 4% so that she'd pay it off. She was paying 5 or 6 payments a year, so it was tough times. Boeing was having a tough time. The economy was, people were really concerned. The people out of Seattle weren't coming to the peninsula quite as much. So the real estate business took a hit in that early 80s, late 70s.
Did you always envision building a company, a brokerage?
Not especially. I got into it. No, I liked the business. I liked showing property. I then started, had a fellow that started a building company with it. We formed a building company, and after about 4 or 5 years, he was doing all the work and I was doing the financing, and so I gave it to him. I said, "You're doing all the work, I'm not." And we were selling houses. We were taking 5 acres of ground, dividing into 4, so everybody had an acre and a quarter, and building a house, 1,700 square feet, and selling it for $24,500. They were really selling well at that price. Those things are now, well, you know what they are now. So.
What's something about those early years that would surprise today's agents?
Lots of it. You wouldn't have to take multiple hours of education to begin with. You wouldn't have a multiple listing service or internet, the things that you enjoy and really is part of your life now. At that time, if you didn't get out and learn the properties, you couldn't survive. You really had to be able to be out, look at the properties, know them, form friendships with the people you're dealing with, and get involved in your community. And as I told you previously, that when I'd hire an agent, I'd ask them to be involved in something, give something back to your community. And that almost always happened. Some did not, but most people did, whether it was being a help at the schools or whatever, volunteer fireman, coach, pick something to give back to the community. About that time, I got onto the North Mason School Board. The teachers were having an argument with the school district, and I was asked to help and got involved in the school board. So I served 16 years as a school board member at North Mason, where we tore down the chalet and did a bunch of things. About that time, a leader in the community was involved in the Boys and Girls Club, asked me to be a part of it. At that time, I felt I was busy, and I donated money, but really no time. I look back on that, and I wish I'd gotten involved earlier, but the mayor of Bremerton said, everything is moving out of Bremerton, moving out to Silverdale, before there was a Silverdale out there, and they were having a mall, and so Bremerton, you're really hurting. And we had boarded up windows, and Bremerton was in bad shape. I had moved an office up to Bremerton. One of the agents we were looking said, we were looking at an old Quonset hut on Kitsap Way, and he said, and we used to go back to the office and say, what could we do with that property? What's the good points about that property? Because we'd be in 2 or 3 cars, and so we'd get back to the office and we'd talk about each piece. What about that? What does that house need to really be a better saleable? And what should we maybe talk to the seller about odds and ends they could do to make that property more saleable? And one of the places we looked at was an old beat-up Quonset hut on Kitsap Way, and we talked about what could we do with it. Somebody says, why don't we build an office there? Great idea, one of the agents, so we built an office there. And it really turned out well for us.
Yeah. I love that. You know, one of the questions I was going to ask you is when you opened your doors, what did you want your business to stand for? But you pretty much answered it based on that community, and being involved in the community was primary for you.
Well, when we got, I was really involved in the North Mason, and got involved in the Rotary Club and took an active part in all the things that Rotary was doing, and started, I was a mountain climber, so I started leading climbs, and kind of a funny thing happened is that one time my wife and I had been in Nepal trekking towards Mount Everest. Now we weren't climbing, we were trekking, and I got to 18,500 feet, really felt good about it. And Nancy got to 14.5, which is the same height as Rainier, so she said, nope, we're not supposed to go more than 1,000 feet a day, which they tell you that. And she calls it my A1 attitude, that I wanted to go as high as I could. So I went up to 18.5. But one thing that I learned in that there were certain goals that you need to have. Everybody has goals. There's a study from I think it's Yale University, that they ask people to write down their goals when they're freshmen in college, and then again when they're seniors in college, then 10 years later. The people that wrote their goals down, and I don't forget the exact numbers, but 80 or 90% of them reached those goals. The people that wrote down said, well, I think I'd like to do something or other, most of them did not accomplish those goals. In the mid-'80s, there was a study in the penal system, and they asked the people the inmates that were asking to be released about their future. And they came up with some numbers that said the ones that think, well, I'm going to try not to come back, the ones that said, I will not come back, big difference in percentage. Some of those people had said, they had set a goal to do something else in their life, whatever it is. And so I would hire people in Christmas tree business, young people, to drag trees, which is a terrible job, hard job. And I recognize people in the community now all the time that come up to me and say, Jerry, I used to work for you, And, but one of the things that I would tell them, they don't necessarily need a college education. They certainly, any type of education is important. Whether they want to be a welder, a plumber, whatever it is, do something that you want to do. If you don't want to do something, you're going to spend 40, 50 years of your life working. Make sure you want to go to work. Make sure it's something that you feel strongly about, as compared to, I have to go to work today, or I have to do this. And I always remember when I was a little kid that my dad took me to one of his friends that worked in the shipyard. And I was really intrigued. He would say, I have 6 years, 4 months, so many hours till I retire. And I heard that 2 or 3 different times. And after he retired, a year or so later, my dad took me to see him, and he was lying in bed with 4 TVs, 2 up there, 2 back here, watching TV. And I thought, that's not what you really need to do. You need to keep active, whatever it is. Some people go into yoga, some people do different things, but the body starts to deteriorate. No matter how much we take care of ourselves, the body is only meant to do so much. Occasionally, things happen to the body that we wish wouldn't, but on the other hand, the chances of us living longer lives, and I'm talking about successful in the way of mental success, not necessarily monetary, but you need to feel that you're important, that there's a reason for being alive and for doing things that can be done. I don't know if that's...
Well, you're a testament to that, man. You're still kicking butt out there, serving people with the tree farm, and yeah. So Moving along, building a standard at Reid Real Estate. People often say that you set the standard for professionalism in the market. What did that mean to you personally?
I don't think we set the standard. We were part of the standard. Our attitude was be truthful, work hard. I don't think we were any different than some of the other companies. Some of them, I had a difficult time discouraging people to come to work for us that I thought were maybe not what we wanted to have work. So part of that was the group that's together has to have a common goal, a common thought of trustworthiness, and that they're here for a reason. I don't know.
How did you go about training your brokers? And today we have YouTube and coaching and scripts. What kind of process did you have that you focused in training your brokers?
A very poor one. I'm not a good speaker and a leader, so we did join ERA. A national firm at that time told us that Berkshire Hathaway would provide mortgage rates that were 2% below anybody else, and that they had a fax machine that at that time nobody had. And we joined ERA as some other companies did in Western Washington, and they provided some good training, better than I had. They flew us all down to, well, I don't know if they flew us or not, but down to Las Vegas and a rah-rah type meeting. And for many years we appreciated that, and the mortgage thing never materialized. My wife got into making the signposts we needed with her table saw and stuff, so she probably used 4 or 5 slings of 4x4s making those, so, which we have a lot. If anybody would like to own some, they're used, but you can certainly, I mean, they're very cheap.
How did you balance running the business while maintaining the relationships with family, the agents, and clients?
I probably wasn't as good a father as I should have been. The agents really meant a lot to me, and I think eventually became close to many of them. Not close, but a good acquaintance, let's put it that way. And I thought that was important. I thought it was important that they knew each other and interacted. In fact, as we've become smaller and eventually sold the company, many of those people are still together as friends that they joined while they worked for us. And in fact, Judy's I hope she's gonna have a party for us tomorrow. Yeah, Judy, I'll be there. But part of that is feeling good about the people you work with. Again, going to work and not work as such. It's a job, and people would ask you, "Oh, you're just in the business to make money." And you know, making money never entered my mind. I made money, no doubt about it, but that wasn't what we were trying to do. We were trying to provide something for people that they didn't have, that was their goal, their vision, something of. And as you show people homes, you know, people quite often envision a home that has a certain price and amenities to it that maybe they can't afford. And part of the job is to point out the points of in the price range that they should be, and whether they can afford it or not. You can't talk them into buying more expensive properties than they should. In fact, I think you're probably doing them a disservice, putting them in a position that maybe someday is going to be in a foreclosure. And going through foreclosure is a mental thing that affects people for their lives. I didn't plan well enough. Something happened. Quite often, not necessarily something happened, something mentally happened that they, you probably know that people see a house they want to buy, and all of a sudden you go to finance them and they went out and bought a car and a motor scooter or something, so they don't qualify anymore. So, not you. No. But I think you really you need to talk to those people. I don't think, when you first meet people, I think you're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to say, okay, I'm here to help you. Tell me, get them talking. What do you want? What do you see? What's your vision? And you'd be surprised when the husband and wife are talking. They don't have a clue, at least the same clue. They're talking. I've had many people come in that wanted to buy something or other, and all of a sudden they ended up something entirely different. So I think you can help people envision where they're headed in their life, and a lot of it is homes. It's not fancy cars or boats or whatever. That home is what is going to bring their family together. Will they even have a family at that time? But maybe they're envisioning their life.
Yeah. So, over 65 years in real estate, you've seen your fair share of market shifts and challenges. So you lived through multiple market cycles, booms, busts, and recessions. Which period tested you the most?
That 85 time when Boeing was having problems and everybody was having problems. Not everybody. Lots of people were having problems. There was really a different clientele coming out of Seattle and Tacoma than we had in Kitsap County. They were more moneyed people than we were dealing with. The problems may have been the same, but some of the people in Kitsap and Mason counties had a more difficult time than the people in Bellevue and Seattle. And many of those people quit coming to Kitsap County. At that time, John L. Scott was doing really a good promotional job, and they would bring people over to begin with. We would convince people that we really know the market, and yet some of the agents in Seattle were telling the customers, just go over there and have them show you what they want, I'll write it up. Used to scrape the living daylights out of me, that we'd do all the work and the commissions weren't necessarily ours. So that was a tough time for and a mental time for the people. You sit in a sales meeting like this and, oh yeah, somebody I thought I had a sale for, the earnest money came in yesterday and I'm not mentioned in it. So it was a difficult time for agents, brokers, and everyone, I think.
How did you lead your agents through that time?
You know, leadership is a funny, different. You don't just say I'm a leader. I think you show by example. I don't know if that's true, but somewhere in there's a point where you can make sure people are headed in the correct direction without being a leader. It's a fine line.
If you could go back and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Climb more mountains.
Ooh.
No.
You and Dave are kindred spirits.
In the real estate field, I made one mistake where I lost money, and I looked at that as maybe I got greedy, saw a piece of property I thought I could develop and put earnest money on it and lost the earnest money. But in general, I think real estate business has really been good for me. I've made a lot of friends and helped a lot of community projects. I hope the community has been better for some of the things that I've helped do.
So around 2014, you made a business move to sell part of your brokerage. What was that like? What was your mindset at that time?
I was 80 years old. It's time to get out of this thing. No, I don't know. A lot of things. Family life. I'm a gardener and a fisherman and golfer, and just a lot of things. You can't do everything. And I had, through the years, started jogging, marathoning, cycling, and I had a group of friends that we cycled 50 or 75 miles on Saturdays, and it kind of gets in your blood. So I said that, you know, there's too much going on in my life, and at least my wife pointed that out too, that maybe I wasn't being a good enough father. Well, at that time was a husband, but you need to balance the things you're doing. You need to balance your activities, your kids, your goals. You can't do everything, and I said sometimes you try to do too much, and you don't do a good enough job at all of it or any of it. So,
how did that transition feel emotionally?
You know, I don't know that I felt any different. I felt good about the things we'd done, and was questioning if I could continue to be, I don't want to say leader, but a person that wanted to go out, strike out, and do different things. You know, at Rotary, we started the rags thing for 20-some years. The Admiral Theater we did for 4 or 5 years. Boys and Girls Club is an ongoing project, and now I'm more involved in the Boys and Girls. In fact, my pickup outside is filled with wreaths. I'm delivering wreaths to the Boys and Girls Club today. So it doesn't end. There's things you can do, but you've got to cut down on some of them.
Well, let's talk about legacy and community impact. When you look back today, what are you most proud of?
Lots of things.
Share a couple.
I guess I'm proud of the things that were accomplished in my lifetime in the community, of which I had a part of. Some I was a leader in, lots I was just there. Somebody else a leader, and I provided some time. You know, everybody can donate to a community. You can donate money, which is really easy. It may be $5, it may be $500, but you can donate money. Very few people feel they can donate time, which is a really important thing. Think of the kids in our community that need some leadership, that need a peer group, a parent, or somebody to look up to. And that's whether there's enormous amount of kids that need that leadership that we need for our future. We need those kids to have a chance. You've walked in, like I have, walked into homes, and it's a mess, or certainly not what it should be. Kids are sleeping on the sofa. They're not going to school. The boyfriend has bought a TV movie for them. All sorts of those things that you've heard about. And those kids don't have the chance that we hope they're going to have. So if I had anything I would want people to do, is to look in the community. I can help this way. How can I help? There's got to be a way that'll fit your personality. Not all of us are the same, but there's a whole range of opportunities out there that we need to explore.
Well, you've had a significant impact on this community, and I know that I can say that we all love and respect that, and so appreciative. Yeah. How would you like to be remembered in this industry?
I guess just remembered. I haven't done anything special, so I'm not gone yet.
I'm not saying. I'm not referring to that.
Well, I've had some really good experiences that are not necessarily, well, we have a lot in real estate, a lot of mountain climbing, a lot of cycling. I did the Iditarod dog sled race one year, not the race, I was 1,100 miles with a dog sled team that was important to me, is important to me. I think you look back on things that you've done that you enjoyed, and hopefully that your family did and other people did, whether it's river rafting. If you get a chance, raft the Colorado River, the Grand Canyon. That's a tremendous trip, not very expensive, and it's a whale of a lot of fun.
So, today, the modern era and AI. If you were starting your career today with AI, automation, and instant information, what would you still do the same?
First, I'd have to learn to turn on the computer. I don't really know, that's just a tough question. That is almost beyond my ability to look ahead. You people are going to have a whole world of things out there that I really don't know anything about or know very little about. And I guess my advice is learn all you can. The world is changing, your lives are changing, your families are changing, and you've got to keep up with that. People my age, not a lot of them still around, but I think years ago life expectancy was 65, 70 years, something like that. Medicine has really helped our bodies live longer. We've learned different things to do and don't do. But the education you're going to get, the thing you're going to learn are so important. Our children, grandchildren, that's what I tell them. I ask them what they're even talking about. So I don't know what you're talking about. Do a good job learning it. But,
What do you think agents today overlook that that matter deeply in your generation?
Community service. I think that as may be different in Kitsap and Mason counties versus Seattle. I don't think it is. I think this era that we're in now is just an important turnover, I guess, future of mankind, or at least Kitsap and Mason counties. And I live in Mason County, so I refer to Mason County a lot. But we may be in the very best time of the history of the U.S. for turnover right now. I know the homesteaders and the wagon train people certainly had a very difficult time and some important personal decisions they had to make. But you think of our decisions we have to make, our kids and grandchildren, to look ahead. And I think you need to be able to help that vision, however it may be. And I think the kids don't really need to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I think they have to say, there are opportunities out there. I want to be successful. I want to do one of these. I want to be a good pipe fitter. I want to be a good mechanic. I don't necessarily have to be a PhD and go to certain colleges, but I need to be successful. I need to feel good about what I'm doing. And I hope part of that is in your community as compared to your professional life. And
Well, yeah. I mean, despite all the technology, I mean, relationships are everything, and that's what defined you, you know.
I'm not doing a very good job answering your question.
You're doing a great job. What do y'all think? Just to carry on with what you were just saying, what advice would you give this room of agents building their careers right now?
You know, I had a professor one time in forestry that said, it takes guts to stay small. I always remember that do a good job of what you're doing. Don't think you have to take a next step up and reach the Peter Principle or whatever that happens to be. I think there's the construction industry is a prime example. People, I'm going to say mainly men, but it's people become good carpenters and they want to do the next step. So I want to be my own builder. And now all of a sudden I've got to deal with bankers, I've got to deal with title company, mortgage company, and it's far different. And many of those are not successful. If they would have stayed with they were happy with the job they were doing, and it's not like that there's a lot of industries that same thing. I don't have to be the top dog. I need to be a good person and do a good job of what I'm doing. I don't have to worry about making the next step up.
Love that. All right, this is the fun section, rapid fire. So I'm gonna ask a question, you just like give me the quickest answer. First thing off the top of your head. I'm gonna put them to the test here. Let's see what happens. Are you ready? Favorite part of being a broker?
That's a rapid answer.
That's the question. You give me the answer.
I'm not sure there was a favorite time of being being a broker is really, it's not only time consuming, it has a certain function that has to be fulfilled in a good way. And if you don't feel you can do that, you shouldn't be a broker. So to be a broker, you need to be able to say, I'm willing to do that extra that it takes to make my people be successful, at least be happy, successful, not necessarily financially.
How about the least favorite part of being a broker?
Some of the problems that come up, some of the personal things that the agents get involved with, and they almost expect you to have the answer for them or whatever it be. We've all had some very difficult situations you have to deal with. It's a management of people. It's a management being a part of their lives and trying to help them through difficult times.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning. I cut Christmas trees yesterday morning at
Yes.
7:30.
One word to describe real estate today.
Changing.
One word to describe real estate in 1967.
Changing.
Biggest change in the industry that surprised you the most?
Excuse me, the internet and the ability to disseminate information among other agents. Originally, in the 60s, you barely talked to anybody in another office. I mean, you with no internet, no multiple listing service, you were on your own.
One habit or principle that contributed most to your long-term success?
You know what? Sometimes success is people look at it as monetary. I don't look at success as monetary. I look at success as doing things you wanted to do. Hopefully they were the right things and you did a good job at it. If the money came along with it, more power to it. But you need to feel good about what you're doing. You need to feel good about yourself. You need to feel that the peer group that you call friends and acquaintances are, I don't want to say equally satisfied. That doesn't always happen, but if the majority of it happens, that's better.
You like your coffee caffeinated or decaf?
I don't drink coffee.
I knew that,
You know,
but I
hey,
just wanted to
look
ask
at
it because I
Judy.
don't drink coffee either.
All right, Judy probably drinks coffee, and she's 5'2". Or 5'3". If she didn't drink coffee, you could be 6 foot tall.
So that's the secret. I just want to say thank you for joining us today and just being so open and just sharing all about your journey. Again, we have such a great respect for you and appreciate you so much, and it's been an awesome privilege having you today. Thank you so much.
You guys done a good job.